This is the Kiesel Kyber headless guitar. When Kiesel released the original Kyber guitar that had the headstock a few months ago, I got a ton of comments from people requesting that I check out that guitar. And so when I found out they were coming out with a headless model, I knew that you would probably want to see that one even more, and so here we are. Kiesel did send me this guitar to review, but for those of you who don't know, I have been playing and recommending Kiesel guitars since 2016, long before they even knew I existed. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything about the Kiesel Kyber headless, the good, a few things that I would like to see improved on in the future, and at the very end of the video, I'm going to compare the Kyber and the Strandberg, everyone's favorite headless guitar, so you'll have a good idea of which one will be the best fit for you. But before we begin, I'll just say this. There are a lot of companies today making headless guitars, and a lot of them don't ever make it to this channel because I'm usually not impressed by the design. But this is a case where when you combine the design, the features, the customization, and the price, I think that the Kyber headless is going to be really great for a lot of people who are interested in headless guitars. So let's talk about it. So if you didn't know, Kiesel is an American company and they make all of their guitars in California. And they have all different types of bodies and necks and pickups and everything you could imagine, so you can get your own basically custom shop guitar for a fraction of the price. One complaint that Kiesel often gets is that they have no resale value, but I don't buy a custom guitar with the intent of reselling it, so that doesn't matter to me. But let's get on to the review and start the tour of this guitar from the headstock, or in this case, lack thereof, since we have a headless guitar. This is a very new Kiesel headless headstock design, and it actually has a function and a purpose that I have been asking for years from every single headless guitar company. Because of the design of the headstock and how much wood we have at the top, we can actually place this guitar in a hanging stand. And I know to some people this may not seem like a big deal, but trust me, I have had a lot of headless guitars. Up until now, the best not custom-made stand you could have for a headless guitar was the Fender A-frame stand. It has these little things you can adjust so that you can fit weird-shaped guitars in it. But guess what? Even this guitar stand is not great for headless guitars. In fact, right before I started filming this video, I was trying to set up my Strandberg on this stand, and before I can even start the video, well, this is what happened. This is the new Kyber. So Kiesel is now the only large-ish guitar company that offers a headless guitar that can hang from a hanging stand. Thank you so much. It's such a simple design, but it makes life so much easier. If this matters to you, there's also a volute on the back of the neck, which is the first time I've seen this on a headless guitar. To my knowledge, a volute is usually here to make sure that the headstock is extra strong and it won't just snap off. And since there's no headstock to snap off, I don't think this matters. I should mention that I have seen a few guitar players, Gibson guys in particular, who are very picky about whether or not a guitar has or does not have a volute. So if you're a traditional guy who has always wanted a volute on your headless guitar, you now have that option with the Kiesel Kyber headless. And then, of course, we have the headless hardware, the way that the string secures to the lack of headstock. And this is another area where a lot of companies get things wrong. Kiesel has this practically perfect. It's very simple. There's just one screw for you to lock the string down, and then as you can see, there's a little channel behind each one of these locking screws so that the excess string can sit in place instead of poking you as you move your hand in this area. This is another thing that I've been complaining about for a very long time, so I'm happy that someone has addressed and improved the locking mechanism on our headless guitars. Now, as we make our way down to the neck, I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking about specs because it doesn't really matter. Since Kiesel lets you choose your neck thickness, your neck wood, your fretboard wood, and your radius, there's not really much for me to say here about the one that's on my particular guitar. I will say that I find Kiesel necks extremely comfortable, and the fit and finish on the fretwork is always fantastic. When you add the fact that this is made in America, has flawless fretwork on stainless steel frets, I don't know any other company that's doing it for this price range. And that's been true about Kiesel and Carbon before them for a very long time. Now, the Kyber headless, as of making this video, is only a bolt-on neck option, but this tends to work fairly well. We have a nice, smooth, sculpted heel joint, and we have a substantial amount of area between the actual neck and the lower horn. So as you place your hand at the base of the neck and start playing, you have plenty of space for upper fret access, so this won't be a problem for any of you high fret shredder types. My only complaint is that I would prefer the truss rod adjustment wheel to be at the base of the neck instead of at the top of the neck, but now we're being very nitpicky. When the original Kyber came out with the headstock, the biggest selling point was how comfortable and thin and ergonomic the body was. And the same thing holds true for this guitar. We have a huge belly cut in the back. We have a very substantial forearm contour, and the body is just overall very thin and extremely lightweight. I'm gonna weigh this guitar and put it on screen for you, but it is really, really light. And keep in mind that this one also has a vibrato bridge, which usually makes a guitar heavier. So I have a feeling that if you choose your wood and your vibrato or fixed bridge choice carefully, you can probably get this guitar well under 5 pounds, which is really insane. Now, when I play a headless guitar, I personally like to have the strap pretty tight, and I want the guitar to be able to rest at this roughly 45-degree angle as I play. There are a lot of headless guitars that are basically just a Strat with the headstock cut off, and that might be better for travel because it's slightly more compact. But if the guitar can't sit in this position comfortably or between your legs in a classical position comfortably, I don't really see the point of it. Against the body in this position, this guitar is really comfortable and nice to play. And since we're discussing ergonomics today, it's important to understand that there are multiple ergonomic positions that might or might not work for you, and you have to try different variations. So for example, the position that I always go for is with the guitar itself resting on top of the right leg. And as you can see, that rises the neck nicely, and when you have a strap, it works really well. But this is not the same thing as the classical position. The classical position has the guitar in between the legs, and usually you elevate your left foot with something like a footstool, and then you can rest the guitar here in this fashion. And as you can see, this guitar fits really well in the traditional classical position with the left foot elevated because of this nice rear cut in the back here. I know a lot of metal players like this position because it puts you right at the upper fret so you can do all of your shredding. If you like playing guitar that way, this will feel really nice. Or if you like to do it the way I like to do it, with just part of the guitar resting on top of the right leg, with a strap of course, this also works really well with this guitar. Now, anyone who's been watching this channel for a while is going to know that I am extremely picky with where you place the output jack on a headless guitar. There are many guitar companies that just put it on the side of the guitar underneath, and then when you plug it in, you can't actually put the guitar this way in a comfortable position without the cable poking you. Kiesel didn't do this perfectly. So as you can see, we do have the output jack right here, which on initial inspection frustrated me. It's not as bad as having it right here. This would be a complete deal breaker. But I would honestly prefer to have the output jack somewhere up here so that no matter how you hold the guitar, the cable can never get in the way. At least that's what I initially thought. But when you actually use an angled cable and plug this guitar in, it still goes into that position very comfortably. Since this cable is actually not here, but behind it a little bit more over here, it is actually never in the way when I have it in this position. I legitimately cannot feel it at all. However, it is still important that you use an angled cable with this guitar, because if you use a normal straight cable and try that same thing, it's going to be much more uncomfortable and you're probably going to damage your cable over time. Usually I don't like the position right here because even with an angled cable, it will still dig into your thigh over time. But with the placement here, I'm actually not having a problem with it at all. I would still just prefer to have it up here at the rear. So Kiesel, if you're watching this video, make that an option for us if possible so that we don't have to worry about it at all. That being said, with a guitar that is this thin, you do have to be careful about where you place the output jack because Well, certain points of the body are simply not thick enough for a jack to live. So again, I'm not exactly sure if it can even go up here, but if it can, I would prefer that personally. One cool small detail is that we have the strap pins actually hidden behind the guitar completely. And I think Kiesel does this because they want it to be a totally clean profile from the front, which I suppose is fine. But the reason I like it is because it actually puts the guitar closer to your body, which I really, really enjoy. I just feel like it's very snug and secure because of the strap pin location. And I know some of you may think this is not a big deal, but I'm telling you, when it comes to guitar ergonomics, especially if you're standing, the strap pin location is extremely important. Well, at least it is to me. I made a video about my new favorite Les Paul style guitar a couple of months ago, which is also a Kiesel. And I didn't learn how to pronounce the pickups when I made that video, and I still haven't learned to pronounce them since then. However, these Kiesel pickups are now some of my favorite pickups, period. Before this, my favorite pickups were the Alan Holdsworth pickups, also made by Kiesel, but I think these now replace them. And someone mentioned this in the last video, but these pickups also sound amazing split, not just in the tone, but also how noiseless they are. Really fantastic design by Kiesel. Now, my favorite tone from these pickups is honestly just the neck pickup by itself. That's the tone I go with most of the time. The bridge pickup is also obviously nice by itself as well. But I actually like the bridge pickup split as my preferred tone for the bridge pickup, which is very rare for me. So if I was going to do this over, I would probably have independent coil splits with the volume knob being the neck and the bridge pickup being the tone. That way I can keep the bridge pickup split while having the neck on full. So let's listen to how good that split tone is. We'll just play some similar chords and we'll just compare the two. So as you can hear, there's a huge difference and you get a really nice single coil tone, but notice how you don't get a lot of hum. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing this, but it just sounds so clean. Just listen for the lack of hum this time. So I guess if you listen really carefully, you can hear a tiny bit of hum. But it's, I don't know. At least through my headphones, I can't hear any, which is really amazing. Let's check out the bridge now. So super convincing split coil tones. Let's do the split coil tones combined and see if we can get a really quacky sound. So yeah, definitely plenty quacky. Let's do the same thing with the full humbuckers together. Oh yeah, you can hear it's much fatter. So yeah, definitely a very convincing split coil sound. Very, very versatile, even though we just have these two humbuckers. By the way, if you're a normal adult who has a busy schedule, but you still want to get better at guitar, definitely check out my community link below. We have a ton of lessons. You get actual support and guidance from me. There's a community of really nice, engaging people. Everyone there is having a blast so far. So first link below if you're interested. And the last thing that I want to mention about this guitar that I think is fantastic and to my knowledge only found in Kiesel stock guitars, we have the Hipshot headless tremolo bridge. And I know that this is not the most expensive, and it's also not the most cool looking tremolo bridge, but it is by far the best, period. I don't care what anyone says, and here's why. A lot of tremolo bridges have weird headless hardware that has a long learning curve for learning how to use it. You don't set the string height or the intonation the same way, and it's very, very frustrating. But the Hipshot headless hardware is just essentially a normal Strat style saddle design. So you have a screw for intonation, you have a screw for string height, and then you just tune it like a headless guitar. This is the best design, and if you want proof that I actually believe this myself, when I had a custom headless guitar designed for me, I could have picked any tremolo I wanted, but what did I go with? The Hipshot. Oh, also by the way, that's where we need to put the output jack. Kiesel, if you can do this, that'll be great. So at the end of the day, what we have is a headless guitar that isn't too flashy, but that solves so many problems that I find on other headless guitars. And as of making this video, you can get one of these for $1,600, which is honestly crazy. Now we're going to compare the Kiesel and the Strandberg in detail in a second, but just to put this in perspective, this Strandberg is definitely a good guitar. It's a very nice guitar. It costs $1,800. It's made overseas. You have no customization, and it's $1,800. And right now, the Kiesel has customization. It's a better guitar, as you'll see in a second, in most areas, and it's less expensive. This is honestly an insane deal. But let's just talk about this in detail now. So if we start from the lack of headstock for Strandberg, we have a few things that honestly annoy me. Number one, we have the locking hardware that always leaves these very sharp edges on the side. So for example, if I just kind of carefully, ow, that last one was actually a little bit not careful enough. Those little sharp things are really, really annoying. And you might think you'll never prick your finger on it, but I promise you, it will happen and it will make you very frustrated. And I know there's a workaround. You can trim the string and then open it back up and pull it down and then relock it. But why should I have to do all of that work when a better design can be made? It annoys me. The second thing that annoys me about Strandberg guitars is that they have a 0 fret. I understand from a manufacturing perspective, a 0 fret helps you keep the action very low, but a 0 fret is not needed to have low action, and it actually wears out over time. And I've had a Strandberg where the 0 fret wore out in just a couple of years. And then when I had my luthier replace the 0 fret, it was a big frustration because we couldn't find the exact fret wire to match it, and it was just a huge pain for something that doesn't need to be there. Not to mention that this guitar does not fit on any normal stand, so you have to use the Fender A-frame stand, and as you saw earlier in the video, it doesn't always hold it the right way if you're not exact with how you place it down. The fact that this just sits in a nice, normal, secure hanging stand, it is much appreciated. Then of course, with the Strandberg guitars, we have stainless steel frets, which are great, just like we have on the Kiesel. I'll call that even. If you don't like a fan fret design, you are out of luck because unless you want to get the least expensive Strandberg, you have to have fan frets. Of course, with the Kiesel, you have the option, which is always good. More options are always better. Same thing applies for the indoor neck. I don't mind the indoor neck. I actually really like it, but I don't want it on every guitar, and you can't get a Strandberg without the indoor neck. With Kiesel, you can get a thick neck, a thin neck, whatever you want. You have the options. So one of the recurring themes that is kind of emerging here is that when you buy a guitar for $1,800, it would be nice to have some customization. which you really can't get with Strandberg. Now, the one thing about the Strandberg that I do like more than the Kiesel is that we have this rear carve at the bottom, and we also have the output jack location tucked away right here. So even without a strap, I can always put a Strandberg on my lap and just start playing, and it feels really, really comfortable. To me, this is the most comfortable form of headless guitar, something that resembles a Strandberg of some type. Of course, you don't have to copy Strandberg to get that ergonomic kind of a thing. You can make up your own design that is similar but still different. I would love to see Kiesel try to figure out a headless design that has a more ergonomic body. This does work, especially when you're playing it with a strap. I don't mind it at all, but I know they can do better, so that's what I would like to see in the future from them. But right now, I still like the Strandberg design down here, especially a bit more than the Kiesel. But when it comes to the rest of the body, I prefer the Kiesel. I think that the overall design, the thinness, the way that it kind of conforms to your body, the nice forearm bevel, I just like this body a bit more than the Strandberg, apart from this lower part. Strandberg pickups are definitely good, and I never found that they were not good enough for my playing. So I'm not complaining about how the guitar sounds, but I will say that Kiesel now makes my favorite pickups. So I prefer the Kiesel in that regard. And when it comes to the headless tremolo, I have been saying it for years, but I personally do not like the headless tremolo on the Strandberg. There are all of these tiny little screws that are very difficult to adjust in terms of the string height and the intonation. It's extremely frustrating. The Hipshot headless hardware, in my opinion, is just the better design, so I'm happy it's on the Kiesel. So if I'm just thinking quickly about the Kiesel versus the Strandberg, at least in my opinion, the Kiesel is better in just about every single way. And everything that frustrates me about the Strandberg is fixed on the Kiesel. The only drawback is that I would like the body to be slightly better in this area. So we get an overall better guitar, and you have the ability to customize it, and you get it all made in the US, and the fit and finish is way better. Oh, and that thing about fit and finish being better on the Kiesel, this is not me just saying this because it's a Kiesel video. I said this on all of my Strandberg videos as well. And if you go to the official Strandberg forums, there are people complaining about fit and finish there as well. And they have been for years. In fact, I bought this guitar almost a year ago, full price with my own money. When I got the guitar, it already had this. That one fret or those two frets on this guitar were an issue from the moment I got it. Now, at that time, I did buy this guitar from Sweetwater, and I did call them, and they did say they would take the guitar back. But I was actually really enjoying the guitar, and it was my main guitar, so I didn't want to have to send it back to them. And they couldn't just take it back and then plec it or fix it, because you can't plec a guitar with a compound radius. At least that's what they told me at the time. I basically just decided, well, the guitar sounds good, it plays well apart from that one fret, I'll just deal with it, even though the guitar is $1,800. I have bought 5, 6, 7, 8 guitars from Kiesel and Carbon over the years with my own money. I have never had a single fret problem with them. That's just my experience. So yeah, I started this video by saying that I think this new Kiesel is a game changer, and I think that's why. The combination of features, improvements on other headless designs, but honestly, most importantly, the price. This is going to be an amazing guitar for a lot of people. Is this my new favorite headless guitar? No, definitely not. My favorite headless guitar is this one, which I had custom made. But this guitar cost over $3,000. And when you get it shipped to America, you're going to have to pay even more fees. This guitar for over $3,000 is still an amazing deal. Amazing. My favorite headless guitar of all time. But this is under $2,000. It's just really hard to compete with that. So those are my thoughts on the new Kiesel guitar. But Kiesel, if you're watching this video up until this point, please, for the love of God, I am begging you, make a Klein guitar, make a Strandberg variation, make something that is only designed for ergonomics. You don't have to send me one for free. I will buy one. I will probably buy 2 or 3. But until then, when you consider the price, the fit and finish, the customization, and the overall ergonomics, this is the new best headless guitar you can buy. So you have to use the Fender A-frame. Oh, Jesus.